So I thought I'd talk about something that I've struggled with for quite some time, that I think everyone who comes to EML and is an anagarika and a monastic struggles with too, maybe not as much as I have in the past. But I thought you might enjoy hearing about this particular struggle. You may just feel totally foreign to this topic, and you'll have compassion for me, like, oh, you poor slob. It's too bad that you've struggled so much with that. Or you may feel that, oh yes, I have some of this going too. So may it be helpful. Before I came to the Abbey, I didn't really have a strong feeling about the word swarm at all. It just was a word, and so I looked at the etymology behind the word, and before coming here, I thought, bees do it. People gather in places to do it. And I keep looking through this list of words, and then there's some word that sort of ties in with swarm that sort of captures what it meant to be once I was here. And it's this verb, squirm. It's from the 1690s. That is the history of some of the words swarm, which means, in the figurative sense, to be painfully affected, to writhe inside. And so when I heard the word swarm here after a few swarms, this is what was going on inside. I was painfully affected. So as you'll find here, when you're struggling with something, people are very kind and they don't point out to you right off the bat, that's just your self-centered thought. Get over it. I just was allowed to sort of struggle, and what I would do is often go like this. When I was hearing that the swarm was announced, I'd go in my office and go, ah! And then I'd come back out. And that little burst really sort of helped me get through it. So I was okay when swarms were happening during offering service time. I mean, I had some resistance still because it was getting in the way of what I was planning to do. I had this whole list of things on my desk, and now a swarm is announced. But the one time it just pushed me over the edge, and was when I was really, 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 really upset, is that Venerable Children, I think, was away. Maybe you were at Geshe Sopa's teachings, and so you had come home, and it was time to start study time, and I was pretty sure you were exhausted and you needed to go and rest. And then within about 15 minutes, it's announced that we're going to swarm, and we're going to move furniture around in Ananda. And it was like, oh my God, really? Now? Now we have to swarm? I was going to study. And this went on in my mind for the next hour. And I was just like, oh man, Venerable Children should be resting. She's now getting us all, she's doing it too. We're moving furniture here and there and here and there. And it's just like what we've sort of experienced as kids, is that at a certain point your parents make you do something and you don't want to do it because you'll be cranky and it won't be fun. Well, in the midst of all these swarms, I notice, hey, this is actually kind of fun. We're getting things done here, and we're getting it done quickly, and we're doing it together, and there's this good feeling. But I have to tell you, every time I heard the word swarm for years, I would have this initial, like, oh, man, really? So I had to start looking at what's going on. Well, this is our most precious thing we've got in life. I mean, Venerable Children tells us that. All our teachers tell us this. Our time, right? My precious time is being cut into here. So it's not just any time. It's my time. And I had to start facing the fact that my time was being affected here, and that was why I was getting so cranky. So I knew that if I was going to stay at the Abbey, the swarms weren't going to go away, and I had to start finding other techniques of dealing with this misery that I was going through. Screaming does help, I can tell you. Screaming helps. But I had to think back to other things in my repertoire that would help me with this self-centered thinking. And when I was in my 20s, I was in this mime group, and one of the people in the mime group was dating a fellow from South Africa, and he had the coolest accent. And so we were all imitating his accent. And he was telling us always about his sister, who her mantra, once they moved from South Africa to Edmonton, and they all hated Edmonton, by the way, but she was always saying to her family, leave me alone, I've got to do my own thing. Leave me alone, I've got to do my own thing. And so I started chanting this when I heard the word swarm. And I thought, yeah, this is what I want. I want people to leave me alone so I can do my own thing. But my own thing wasn't really so important as what we were swarming. So that really helped for a little while. And then as we heard more teachings about, the fact is that the time of death is unknown, and we're going to be in the middle of something for sure when we're about to die. In the past 5 years, I've had many people very close to me die, and I've seen it live. And nobody that I saw or heard about was planning to die that day. So then I started really thinking about this. The more we swarmed here, I thought, okay, if this is so hard for me to go and joyfully join a swarm, what in the world is death going to be like that, still cutting into my time, and I still have things to do? And so I just started thinking about that. If I can get my head around just swarming, I might have a bit more of chance at death. Maybe, I hope so. So then the other thing I started thinking about is this, this self-centered thinking is just so stinky. When we were building Gautami House, well, I should back up a bit. This is going to be a longer BBC. Sorry. When the shell for Gautami House came up, one of our friends, both friends, Pat and Joe Simpson, we were up at the top looking at the new water tanks, and Gautami House was a shell, and I just was saying to Pat that I was just wondering how long Gautami House would take to build and finish. And he said to me, well, don't you know? And I said, well, know what? He said, well, you're going to do it. And I thought, what? We're going to do it? And I thought, no, we're not. There's builders who are going to do it. Well, the builders did a certain amount of it, and then the community was actually doing stuff. And so we got to all do stuff that we didn't know how to do before. And again, it was this tremendous feeling of making a contribution to something in here that was going to last for a very long time and would benefit many, many people. And so the people who were building Gautami House weren't like the builders who built this building. Every day they left a huge mess. There was really a lot of cleaning up that we had to do. So again, I went through the old, this is cutting into my time, this is so inconvenient, we have to swarm again today, we'll have to do it tomorrow. But then again, I saw that, this kind of mind is really not a mind that I want to have here. We're doing a service. We're offering service here. It's not, over time, that phrase doesn't exist here. And then to help myself more, I thought, if we stopped doing that over there, that building would never get finished. Or it would take so long that many more donors would be needed, and, we'd have people coming to the Abbey and we'd still be sleeping in this building. It just wouldn't get finished. And I thought, this is really a beautiful thing to do. And so now when I get, I have to admit, this word still bugs me. But I have some tools to work with it. So now when I think about this, I think about the fact that if we hadn't done that, Gautami House wouldn't be in existence. This building would have been delayed. Think about this past April when we had 100 people here for sharing the Dharma Day. We'd still be eating in that house. We'd have to eat in 3 shifts. Sharing the Dharma Day would take 23 hours. No one would come back. Look at the places that we're staying in here. And it's all because not just us who have been here before you have done it. Donors from all over the world have given their hard-earned money. They've been working overtime to support the vision here so that we have this building that we're in right now and that will last for a long, long time. So, if you have things that are bothering you, like the word swarm, or someone asks you to do something and it's study time, well, just sort of have your little fit and then settle down and think, this is my opportunity to contribute to something that is going to support the Abbey for hundreds of years. And that's, that's not a joke, it's for real. Venerable Chodron has told us again and again about the phrase that she and her peer nuns and monks learned of being a servant to others. One of the presidential candidates is talking about this all the time. It's one and not the other. And I'm so impressed when she speaks about being, offering service as her life. And so the other thing I think, I have to be so absurd with myself sometimes to get the point across because I'm so thick-skulled. I have to make things very absurd. So let's imagine for a moment that we're on the plane and we're heading to Bodh Gaya. And at a certain point, you know, we are touching down in, I don't know, where do you touch down between here and Bodh Gaya? But the weather's bad. Let's say it's Singapore. And the pilot has to circle for a long time for the fog to clear, but his shift is over, or her shift is over. And the pilot comes out into the plane and says, hey, everybody, you know what? I've done my 12 hours. I'm not driving anymore. You know, how ridiculous that would be. And you look at your whole life. I mean, what did you do to get through college and through school? You didn't set the clock and stop somewhere. You know, the whole world is built on people sacrificing their time, pushing through, doing overtime, you know, to get things done. Or the other one, you know, you're having surgery, and it's a very tricky surgery, and maybe they're replacing a vertebra in your back. It's an 8-hour surgery, but it goes into, you know, 15 hours, and the surgeon taps you on the shoulder and says, I've got a golf game. See ya. Well, nobody does this. So why do I do it here? This is I'm embarrassed to talk about this, but this is my mind. Why do I do it here? No one else in the world does it all the time. So then I thought we'd just finish with a little clip from a few years ago. We had to shovel the very surface that we're sitting on right now because the building was being built through the winter months, and we realized that if we didn't leave the hall at 7 o'clock in the morning and start shoveling the snow that was falling that year a lot, we'd have to pay the contractor and his crew $30 an hour to shovel this very surface here, which would have again put the building, you know, it would have delayed the building. Maybe the donors would have given up, you know, and it was again an opportunity to go, okay, 7 in the morning. This clip, it looks quite light outside. I think it must have been further along in the season. But we were shoveling in the pitch dark until Venerable Tarpa rigged up some kind of lighting thing. And then guess what? We had to shovel through breakfast. And it was great. It was really great. And it was this sense of community that came when we did it. So I'd like you to see what was done by others for our sake. And now we have the responsibility to vacuum this floor that was shoveled and to clean the building and to do things so that this building that donors from all over the world helped finance, because they believe in what's going on here, lasts for a very long time. So I'm feeling better about the word. I still scream, but I see the huge benefits. So we're going to take a look at two clips. The one clip is us doing this, and then another clip is further on where Venerable Tarpa and Venerable Children, during study time, are helping to build this wall. Roll it.
I'm really enjoying shoveling snow out of Shenresi Hall is because I myself get some movement from all the sitting during the retreat, but it's not only because of this. I also rejoice to support building Shenresi Hall so that all the workers can do their job and I can help them to make this building happen. And I think about all these hundreds and thousands of people will come and join Shenresi Hall, have lectures together, have lunch together, go to meditation, and come and join and spread the Dharma with us.
So maybe we can swarm Tara's refuge soon and do it with a happy mind.